October the 30th, 1984. I was told, "We are taking you into hospital under Section 2 of the Mental Health Act. You will be detained for up to 28 days against your will." It was as if the light had gone out on my life. No present, no future, no hope, only a life of anxiety and uncertainty. I was first admitted to a psychiatric hospital in October 1984. I was 4 weeks into my final year of a physics degree at the University of Nottingham in the United Kingdom. I was told by the medical staff sending me to the hospital that I would be detained for up to 28 days against my will. And all sorts of things started rushing through my mind. How could I possibly miss a whole month of studies and expect to pass the course at the end of the academic year? How would I then be able to successfully get a job, do all the things that I was planning on doing, living a fulfilled life, getting married, having a family, and all the things that post-normal people would do? Now, I was already in a state of high anxiety as a result of the events of the previous few days. And this, me being told that I'd be taken against my will into a hospital, and a psychiatric hospital at that, just greatly multiplied my anxiety levels. That was another thing that was bothering me and increasing my stress levels, was my own personal prejudice of what it would be like on a hospital ward like that. Patients running around screaming, throwing things, showing signs of violence, getting violent with anybody and everybody, aggressive nursing staff, padded cells and straitjackets. Now, virtually all of that, when I got on the ward and experienced it, turned out to be not the case. that it was nothing like that. But being transported to hospital for the first time, I had those prejudices to deal with. Another big issue that I was dealing with was the symptoms of my illness were making perfect sense to me. Such things as hearing voices and having conversations in my head. The delusional ideas that I was having made perfect sense to me. And that as far as I was concerned, I was the normal one, and it was everybody else that had a problem. But as I was led away into the ambulance to be transported the short distance to the hospital, I felt a distinct lack of hope. It was as if the light had gone out of my life. There was total darkness, no hope, no future, no life, no freedom. That was it. My life was finished. And that just greatly increased my anxiety level. And then being on the ward, having to be around a number of very sick people who were dealing with their own problems. Some of them would have illnesses similar to me. Some would be getting very depressed. Others would be trying to take their own lives. And yet there would also be others who had been there several weeks, who would be starting and maybe well on the road to coming out of their illness and into recovery. So we had a whole mishmash of different sorts of people with different mental illnesses, all having to interact with each other and also with the medical staff. Now the doctors and the nurses will have gone through study courses to get to be qualified in their areas. Consultant psychiatrists will have gone right through a whole training period to be a doctor, and then through the studies to be consultant, and would have many years of experience. But one of the frustrating things that I found as a patient was that the medical staff could not get in my head and actually know what it is like to be suffering from delusions, anxiety, to be having conversations, what I call telepathically. Things that made perfect sense to me, yet obviously to the outside world, did not make any sense. And in the late 80s, I started work on my autobiography, where I related in quite some depth and detail the things that were happening to me inside my head, to give an insight to those who have never suffered, who don't know what it's like to be a patient, to enable people to understand more fully, to be able to help loved ones, and also to help each other for patients. Yes, at the time of hospital admission, the patient is in a very emotional and highly stressed state. But so are the families and friends who are having to deal with them. You see your loved one behaving in a way that they don't normally behave. doing things that are totally out of character, that you can't predict what they will do next. It is as if your son or daughter, or mother or father, or brother or sister is a totally different person. And a lot of the time, particularly needing the first admission, families and friends do not know who to turn to for help. And usually, by the time crisis point hits and a hospital admission is needed, everybody is at their wits' end. Now, any admission to hospital is a traumatic event, and especially the first admission to a psychiatric hospital. But it's strange how an odd comment or small conversation can actually make a difference to a patient and actually help them to start to turn things around. In 2001, I was in hospital in York in the United Kingdom, and one night we had a young lady in her early 20s in a very traumatized state. She had just been brought onto the ward, and the first thing she did was to lock herself in the bathroom, and she was trying to kill herself. She was trying to break the windows, to slit her wrists, trying no doubt to escape. Well, the nurses managed to get her out of the bathroom, but then the doorbell to the ward rang, and she saw that as an opportunity to leave and raced for the door, only to be stopped by the nursing staff. And I just said something to her, and like, you've only just got here. Here you get your own room, 3 meals a day, and you're allowed seconds, and even thirds if you like. There's ice cream in the freezer, coffee, tea, hot chocolate readily available, and on an evening time, you're even allowed to order a pizza. And that was exactly what was happening at that stage, because one of the other patients who was feeling much better had ordered a pizza, and it was a pizza delivery guy who'd rung the doorbell. And so this patient had walked up the corridor, took delivery of a pizza, and was walking back. And this new patient just saw the pizza box, just looked at me, straight away calmed down significantly, and just looked and said, well, maybe it's not quite so bad here after all. So it is strange as how even little comments or little conversations really can help people. And if you're a close friend or close family, and you have somebody who is in the hospital, you can make a real difference by just leaving them a voicemail or telephoning and making a phone call or sending an email or a text, just to reassure them that you are thinking of them, that you are rooting for them. And it may not look like it at the initial point when you do that, but believe me, a simple contact really does make a difference. And visiting somebody, if you're able to do so, that really does help. There's no getting away with it. The first admission, when the patient is sent initially for assessment, is horrible. It's traumatic for the patient, for the family, for the friends, or anybody else involved. But there is light. There is hope. And then we'll now be posting a series of future videos on my own experiences, how I was turned around, and how my life has been changed, and how I've been able to overcome this terrible illness